Hey up everybody, welcome back to the RD Cycling YouTube channel where I am going to be doing a bit of a live reaction of the new Velogames 2022 competition which has just released. I haven't seen any of the rider prices yet, so this is going to be a complete reaction to the prices as they appear in front of me. This is not the guide to the competition, that will be coming out later, so be sure to subscribe to be sure to catch that when it comes out in a day or two. But let's go and have a look at some of the rider prices, and we'll start with the all-rounders. So we've got Tadej Pogacar at 26, which I think makes sense. I was expecting him to cost about this. Roglic is 22, that makes sense considering his kind of weird performances the last few years, perhaps you could say, especially with kind of the unknown of last year. Vingegaard's 18, I think that's pretty fair. Vlasov 14, that's decent. Garrett Thomas at 14, Mas 12, Fulsank 10. It's kind of these cheaper options which I'm looking at. Can these be kind of some really good choices for you to go with? You got Aran, Yoni Zagir, Lutsenko. Lutsenko probably would have been a good choice for 8 last year because he kind of went for GC and finished by top 10. And who else? You got Nielsen Paulus for 6, that's a good one. Catania as well, just because Catania was 6 last year, but he ended up finishing with like 900 points. Schachmann looked really good at Tour de Suisse. Conrad won 2 stages last year and he was at 8 points last year. So I think you got some good value lower down, especially like Schachmann, Paulus, Catania. And then you've also, you got the most expensive ones up top with Roglic, Pogacar, Vingegaard. So it's going to be a matter of, you might want to fit some of these cheaper riders into your wildcard category for sure. The climber category, who we've got Danny Martin. So the climber category is a lot cheaper than the all-rounder, which is usually the case. Last year it was 16 points max for Carapaz. Martin is 14, that's a decent one as well. Depends, can he get around kind of 1,500 points? Possibly, I think it might be quite difficult. O'Connor's 12, that's a bump up from last year from 8. Yates is 12, again, very understandable. Alaphilippe's taken a bit of a slash from last year. He was 16 last year, now he's 12. So that's just because he hasn't done anything since Liège, understandably, because he crashed there. Haig is 10, which is a little bump up from the Vuelta that he was last year, where he was 8. Godou's 10, that's the same as last year. Quintana, Bardet. You get really into the guys who are the stage runners now. Caruso for 8, I think, is great value. That was the same price he was when he finished on the podium at the Giro. So Caruso for 8 could be a sneaky one as well. Kemna 8, that's the same as he was at the Giro. He was good value there. Can he do the same here? Possibly. Ruben Guerrero for 8, I think is really good choice considering he won the Mont Ventoux Challenge. He's been looking great recently. And then other stage hunters, Pino's looked good recently. Mike Woods at 8, Sepp Kuss at 8 is good as well. He usually gets in a couple of breaks towards the latter part of the race. Bonomore's now in the climber category because of how good he looked last year. Turns at 6 is a really good value actually. I think that would be a choice which I'll be picking or put into a lot of teams. Is Dylan Turns at 6. Molmer at 6 as well. He did well for me at the Giro where he was 8 points. So you've got lots of good value lower down in the climber category, and it just depends if you want to pick some GC riders towards the top of that climber category, like a Martinez or a Ben O'Connor. Sprinter category, of course, you've got Woutman at 18. That was kind of expected, but I kind of was hoping he'd still be 16 like last year, but that's going to be such a tricky one to pick because he is going to contest so many stages. It's just, can I warrant 18 points for him? That's going to be a really tough one to make. Philipsen and Jakobsen are both 14. That makes sense considering they're kind of the fastest sprinters at the moment. But again, are they going to... I'm not sure how good value that is considering the lack of sprint stages. Maybe I might look a bit further down. Caleb's 12, Sagan's 12, Bennett's 10. He's looked a bit questionable. Groenewegen could be good at 10 as well. I think that he's probably one of the fastest sprinters in this race. Who else have we got? Christoph at 8 is decent. Pedersen's 8. That's not too bad. Laporte at 6. Hofstetter at 6 as well. Hofstetter at 6 could be a really good one because I think it was a couple of years ago he just finished very consistently inside the top 10. So I think Hofstetter could be a decent one just to rack up some, just for a cheap one. Yeah, other than that, it's going to be hard to choose. Woutman, I think we'll be scratching our heads over that. And then you got the unclassified one. Van der Poel's 14. Wow, okay. I guess he was 12 in the Giro, 14 for Van der Poel. Okay, right. Wow. Ganna's 10, that's fair, considering that he will likely win the 2 time trials. Mohoric at 8, of course he had to be 8 because he won 2 stages last year when he was 6 points, that makes sense. Maggie's 8, Pidcock's 8, Vellens is 8. There's so many 8s this time round. Usually there's only kind of 3 or 4. There's so many this time round. Around Baru, Vellens, Leknesson, that's fair because he's looked pretty good recently. 6 pointers. Okay, let's try and find some good value. Kuznavois for 6 is a good one. Bob Jungels at 6 is another good one because he's looked pretty decent recently. Jan Tratnik as well. Could get in a couple of breaks. Pollitt's up from 4 from last year, which is fair. Victor Lefay, I think he could be in the climber category, so 6 points for him is good. Bissiger at 6 is good considering the 2 time trials. Bettiol. Then you got so you got Stefan Kung at 6. That's almost a guaranteed pick for me, considering how good he's been looking recently. Madouas, Genietz, FDJ, Groupama FDJ looking so dangerous for this race. Quentin Hermans, that's another great one. Just because of how he looked at the Baloise Belgium Tour. Taco van der Horn could be dangerous some breaks. Hugo Houle as well. Andreas Klon, Brent Van Moor. God, you got so many good ones in this category. Matteo Jorgensen, he could almost be in the all-rounder category of how well he climbs. Casper Asgreen would be a great one as well with the TTs. Who else have we got? Mezgec again, but he'll be working for Matthews and Groenewegen, so it's that could be a tricky one. But Nick Schultz, he's probably one of the only climbers that Bike Exchange have in this race, so he's a really good one as well. I think, who else have we got? Going down a little bit further, so we're into the 4 pointers now. Who are going to be the really cheap ones that could be good? There's Ollie Nason at 4. That's decent. Schoenberger, I was expecting he'd be 4 points. He's looked really good recently. I think that Schoenberger would be one that I'd be seriously considering. Benjamin Thomas looked good at the Dauphiné, and I reckon he's probably likely to get in quite a few breaks, so that's a decent one as well that you could choose. And who else? We've got Florian Vermeersch, could be decent as well. Kevin Vermaker. But other than that, I don't know. 4 pointers don't seem quite as good maybe, but there's so many good value picks in the 6 point category, so I'll be definitely looking out for that. And then I think the tricky part is going to be Wout van Aert and Tadej Pogacar. Can you fit those guys onto your team? Yeah, that's my reaction to the prices of this Velogames competition. Be sure to subscribe and come back in a few days time where I'll be putting up my guide. I'll go through the good picks and the bad picks in that video, and all there's left to say is to keep safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Salut!